Hey y'all, if you found this video, it's probably because you Googled something like how to quit teaching or alternatives to teaching or hate my job teaching or something like that. That's my only guess of how you got here. What I want to remind you is that something like 40% of teachers quit within the first 5 years, up to 50% in certain schools or certain areas. So if you are thinking about being done with your teaching job, then you're not alone. And that's what I want you to know. When I was struggling with teaching, it was very hard to accept where I was and what a bad space I was in. And I was semi-desperate trying to think of what else to do with my life or how to transition out of teaching. And it took to getting to literally kind of the end of my line where I felt like if I didn't quit, I was going to be in a bad situation. I was going to be breaking up a fight and get sued for pulling a kid off another kid, or I was going to snap and yell at a class and say something inappropriate. I just knew it was time to go, and that was the only reason I had the gumption to leave. It's so tricky because that summer is out there. You think if I just get to summer, I'll have that time away, I'll come back, I'll try again, it'll be better. I mean, maybe, but it wasn't for me. It took me 4 of those cycles, counting down to summer, counting down to summer, counting down to spring break, to winter break, every day off, desperately counting down. It didn't get better. Never got better. Okay, never got better. The only thing that made it better was leaving. And that's just that's what I want to tell you. You have options out there. If you got a job teaching, you have the abilities to work in any number of professional capacities. I mean, I'm sure based on your unique abilities, you could probably do a variety of things. But as a very baseline, all of the skills that go into getting through teaching school, passing your tests, meeting your requirements, getting hired, interviewing, being successful, if you made it that far, the professional world has some basic jobs for you. They may be as unfulfilling or as frustrating as teaching in some ways, but at least I want you to have the word that your basic skill set as a student who became a teacher, you're going to have options in the professional world to start something. But what I really think you should consider is the passions that drove you into teaching, the passions that had you thinking this service career was an option, touching back into those. What brought you here? What was the initial spark? For me, I had a powerful experience being a student. I had some real troubles my freshman and sophomore years, just emotional, just probably normal teen angst. But I came out of it through positive experiences in school, joining the track team, cross country, getting involved in the arts, getting involved in some video production. And I just had so much fun. And it was like a rebirth to the possibilities of the world. And that's something I wanted to pass on to students, which is why I got into teaching. Unfortunately, I was not able to provide that experience to students. I just did battle with students daily. It was not pretty. I think my intentions were good. My self-awareness about my abilities and my skills is probably where I was lacking. In teacher school, there should be some kind of test before you become a teacher. They give you like 40 elementary school kids in a gymnasium, 3 basketballs, and you have 2 hours with them. Is that an exciting prospect? Do you want to be in charge? Do you want to decide what has to happen? Were you, as a kid, the kid who liked to be in charge? Did you like to be around tons of people? You know, in any case, the point is teaching didn't work for me. I had the good intentions. I tried freaking hard. I tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, trying to achieve anything. Ultimately, what I had to go back to was, what's true to me? What's true to why I came here in the first place? And is there a different path that I can follow that might allow me to fulfill that purpose? So I hope that you won't feel alone. I hope that you won't sign your contract just because you don't know what else to do with your life. I hope summer is not tricking you into a cycle that is going to torment you, because the longer you put off this transition, the harder it's going to be. If you have tried and tried and tried and tried, if you're feeling angry more than you're feeling happy, if you were like me and the only good day of teaching was a Friday in the afternoon once students had left, then you probably shouldn't be a teacher. Honestly, if you are struggling more than you feel like you're helping, it's time to consider there's tons that you can do. But the question is, actually, I don't even want to be don't even worry about what you're going to do. The key is you just need to commit to leaving. For me, I started thinking about, what is my opportunity? What else could I do? And I just let intuition drive me around. I started looking at some job postings. And I went back to my old neighborhood where I grew up. And I started thinking about the Parks and Recreation District and how much it meant to me being outside, being on soccer teams. We had a long trail called the Highline Canal where I grew up jogging and riding bikes and exploring with my friends. And that felt like the core of what still spoke to me. I went right to the Parks and Rec District, started chatting with the receptionist about positions. And there just happened to be a brand new job as a bicycle park ranger. This is a person who rides a bicycle full time and just interacts with people positively. Sounds amazing. Interviewed for the job, explained that I was leaving teaching. Everything was copacetic. My principal knew I was on my way out, and I left before spring break. Spring break was when we left for spring break. I packed up and left. Students came back and there was a new teacher. And that sounds terrible, leaving before the school year is out. But if it's time for you to go, it's time for you to go, and they're going to be okay. And there's lots of people sitting in the wings waiting for those long-term sub jobs, waiting to come in and have their shot for whatever reason. So I feel like I had to realize I wasn't letting people down. I needed to move on. And that's what I did. And it was amazing kind of recuperation, reorientation. I bicycled 2,000 miles and just talked to tons of people and learned a little bit about being a park ranger and doing law enforcement and all sorts of different stuff. And it led to the professional position that I'm in now, working kind of at a fancy statewide level on state programs for the outdoors. So I hope you will consider, if your gut is telling you to search the internet for quit teaching, alternatives to teaching, I hope you will take that instinct seriously and stop beating yourself up. Know that you're not alone. I was there and felt alone. And, there's tons of us out there and tons of people who have made the transition. and I don't want you to feel ashamed. I don't want you to feel like there's a stigma. Um, even if you can't talk to people in your school, there's people out there you can talk to. I'd be happy to talk to you. Let's chat, let's email, let's get on the phone. And I'd love to help you think creatively about what is that core instinct that you still want to follow, whether it's serving youth or something else altogether. Don't sign the contract. Seriously, don't sign it unless you want to. I guess I probably had to put in 5 years just to be sure that it wasn't going to work. But at some point, let yourself know that enough is enough, and there's something else for you out there. So, cheers. Thanks for listening, and let's be in touch.